First step, you have to choose a gradient. The first color of the gradient scheme will be based off the render or your focal point. I suggest using characters that offers a good color scheme with them already. I personally am a big fan of split complementary schemes, and triad is nice at times. If you aren't familiar with color, I suggest you follow a tutorial explaining it. You can either check your extensions under the Windows tab at the top of your Photoshop if you're using CS6, or you can go on the website. Not to worry though, if you don't consider choosing colors your forte, I made a few gradients to get you started. Remember, try to get ones that matches well with your render or focal point. For this part, you want to just do a lot of experimenting. The way I went about it is I got my gradient tool and used angle gradient on a few different settings, and even messed with the transparent gradient under this variation to have more control of how the background is turning out. I also like to use the circle gradient to get some different colors and depth within the background. In this example, I'm using white since I mainly am liking lighter palettes. You can use the radial gradient paired with transparency gradient to add darker spots and different colors to the background. So this is going to make more sense once you consider you're going to have to mold interesting curves from this background you created using the Liquify tool. Take your time on this step because it will really help the outcome. As far as technique for using the Liquify tool, I use brush density 50, pressure 100, rate 100, and turbulent jitter 50. The brush size should be changed frequently when messing around with this tool. Go ahead and use some of my circle brushes to cover the canvas some. Be careful to not clutter too much. Use a lot of negative space in the composition of these brushes. Next, we are going to do Liquify once again. So with these lines and shapes that we have just made, we are going to apply a clipping mask onto the layer. We are going to use the same gradient that we used to create the background, but we want to use radial gradient. Notice how I am making depth with gradients by adding shaded areas across the layer. To create a clipping mask, simply go over to the layer tab at the top of the window, and as you scroll down you'll see create clipping mask, or Alt-Control-G, I believe. To continue, I start making some circle marquee selections, then filling with a radial gradient. The next gradient I pick for the circle is dependent on what colors are in the render, which is important for blending purposes. Or, if your render is monotone, then use the base color. Select the complementary color following the color scheme. Next, I make some shapes using the polygon lasso tool. Then I fill it with an angled gradient using a gradient of a darker color but still following a split complementary scheme. Then again, I mess with these shapes using Liquify. In the following step, I make a circle marquee, and then using a transparency gradient, I then choose a vibrant color, or in this case, I choose with white since it's in the background and on the render. I also made some small circle brushes in the background. So as a last comment, feel free to deviate from the instructions I gave. Try to make them different. Also, mess with colors for all your elements to see what colors work best together on your render. Well, best of luck. Would love to see how your guys' outcomes end up. If you have any questions and would like feedback, feel free to ask in the comment section below. If you liked my video and would like to check out more, feel free to subscribe to my channel or check out my website. Well, thanks for watching, and catch you later, YouTube.